wearing two hats. So I'm standing here, number one, on behalf of Tony Elumelu Foundation. And I'm also standing here on behalf of United Bank for Africa. And I'm sure mnajiuliza, so hiyo UBA ni gani sasa? Years. And across Africa, we are 75 years. In fact, if you go to our social media, we have a campaign that is running, and we have $3,600 we want to gift someone in Africa. Is it you? So go to the UBA Kenya page. We have a competition called A Legacy of Africa. And we are looking for someone who can do a small documentary on UBA. You will win $3,600. It's up for grabs. So nimewapea tu tip, eh? It's beyond the grant. So hiyo iko kando. So we've been in Africa for 75 years, but in Kenya, 15 years. And you'll ask yourself, so what is the connection between UBA, Tony Elumelu Foundation, why UBA? As you sit here as entrepreneurs, as you apply and go through the Tony Elumelu Foundation, we are in partnership with Tony Elumelu Foundation, and we, the founder of Tony Elumelu Foundation, Tony Elumelu himself, is also the chairman of UBA Bank. So we are brother and sister, right? And for those who will be successful to get the grant, you will actually become my customer. At one point, you'll be told you need to open a UBA account. And that's the time you'll be asking myself, hey, na hiyo ni gani, sindio? So that's why we are saying you need to start knowing who UBA is, because number one, beyond the grant, you are an entrepreneur. True or false? Maureen has just talked to you about the 5,000, and beyond the 5,000, probably you find that your business needs $20,000 or 2 million, and you only got 5,000. What then does that mean? It means you need someone who is going to work with you as an entrepreneur. Your business needs to grow. Who is that person who is going to handhold you? Who is that person who is going to help you, identify opportunities for growth as an entrepreneur? And that is where UBA comes in. So where we are right now, as we stand in front of you, we are saying, one day you'll become my customer. But beyond being my customer, I can also work with you from an entrepreneur perspective. And just the other day, we are rolling out loans for entrepreneurs. For the next 3 years, we have loans that are going to, we are looking for entrepreneurs who we can walk the journey with for the next 3 years. And it could be you. So even if you don't get the grant, don't give up. There's somebody who can still journey with you. And for the Tony Elumelu alumni who are in here, and how special we make it for them is that we give preferential rates in terms of, say, transactional fees. So Tony Elumelu Foundation alumni actually have like some type of like fees that are not for a normal customer. Why we do that is so that you're able to continue being a part of us. So for us, we are looking at you not just as that person who got the grant, but you are an entrepreneur who needs to grow their business. So basically, that is the relationship that is going to be there between UBA and Tony Elumelu Foundation. And some of you have heard, they've said, I'm coming from Nyandarua, I even heard someone saying they're from Siaya. And that time, when it comes and you're being told, open an account, and you're being told, oh my God, there's no UBA in Siaya. The good news is we actually have something called WhatsApp banking. You can bank with a chatbot. You know how you chat with me on WhatsApp? We have a chatbot that banks you. You can even open an account where you're seated now. So when that time comes, and you need to open an account, and you're in Meru, and you've never seen a branch for UBA, there's actually a chatbot called Leo that is going to chat you and open an account for you. Isn't it easy? Sindio? Leo anaongea paka Kiswahili. Anaongea English, Kiswahili, French, Portuguese. So, when that time comes, don't worry. Don't say, Mimi yo UBA hata sijui. It is actually there. UBA, Leo, and we'll give you the number. You can just chat Leo even now. You just say hi to him, and he responds to you. He opens your account. He works with you. So as an entrepreneur, we have solutions for you. So when that time comes, just know you have a partner who can work with you. And I think that's the first chatbot that actually works. So hata ukienda tuseme Nigeria, uende Ghana, bado account yako ni ile ile. Si ati lazima ufungue account kwingine. It just works wherever you are. So that is a message I had for you. And I think because now we need to move on to the next session. If there are any questions, I'll be available to talk to you, to respond. But you've been asked to continue, tweeting. Leo watu lazima wajue kuna BeGreen, si ndio? And you are the ambassadors of BeGreen, and us having you here is quite a privilege. So, asanteni guys, thank you.
Thank you, Kate. Please let's appreciate her one more time. So now, I'd like you to put your hands together. You guys, I'd like you to put your hands together. Miss Maureen Amakabana. Let's appreciate her one more time to take us through the business plan. Now, some of you had asked questions earlier concerning business plan, and this is the great time. So I need you to focus. She'll be taking us step by step. Take your notes, and we'll have a Q&A section at the end. Thank you.
Good morning, sindio? Okay, good morning. So, kulikuwa na many questions, and even as we are going on break, I've seen other alumni who've come. So basically, after this session, we are going to have like little smaller groups. We are going to interact with other alumni and just help you with direct questions. Yeah, direct questions that speak to your business. But first thing is, remember, you're the captain of the ship. Wewe ndio dereva wa hiyo gari. So the questions, I avoid giving yes or no questions. So I will always take you back to a business principle or bring you back to a concept. But at the end of the day, as an entrepreneur in Africa, sometimes you even take a risk. Because sometimes things that you write on paper kwa ground vitu ni different. So as you're walking through your business planning and everything, it is very important for you to understand that it is only you who can defend your business in the best way possible. Maybe mtu mmoja anakuambia nataka utengeneze app, unasema siwezi tengeneza app kwa sababu wase na sub hawana smartphones. Ama hawana, earlier on nilisikia anasema wase wanataka wifi. Amna bundles? Noma sana, si ndio? So unaweza get unatengeneza app, na so unatengenezea app, bundles ni noma sana. So will your app be consumed? And you've already invested. Itakuwa noma pia. So this is the plan that I submitted to the foundation. Na najua I think inakaa hivyo bado, si ndio? Okay, so I'll work with the person in the media team to just scroll for me the slides. Enter the next page. So na nilichonga hapo. So basically, like I said, very specific to my business. Yeah? So the summary, unaambiwa andike executive summary, and I'll show you an example of an executive summary. So this is where you say, talk about your business generally. I do this, to do that, and I'll show you an example. Then there's the introduction, then there's the product, which is very varied, and then industry and market analysis. Again, this will be varied. So in my case, competition utaiona, operations plan iko hapo. But in the operations, for me to ever start my business, to the question that keeps recurring, do you put an application that only speaks about the $5,000, or do you put an application for future? This is an opportunity for you to ever plan your business long term. So in my case, I thought about what is required for me to operationalize the business. To start operations, nini nitahitaji saizi ndio niki business ikue formalized na yanze kurun. In my industry, which is sanitation, your business must be formally registered. Lazima nikwe na Kenya Revenue Authority PIN certificate. And the reason why for me, Kenya Revenue Authority PIN certificate was important at the time was because my customers were institutions. Institutions don't deal with businesses that don't have PIN certificates, especially my target market. So that is a critical bare minimum. However, in this room, kuna mtu mwenye their business is as simple as I want to collect waste from residential areas, package them, and take them to, in my days, Huruma, kuuza kwa, you know those guys who buy waste? That is a very informal business and is still very viable. So here, maybe at the beginning, all you need is just a registration at KRA, because you're dealing from an informal person to an informal person, so you may need mkokoteni for you to be able to transport your waste from Doni to Githurai so that you can sell it. So you've collected, you've aggregated, umesort, unauza. So pale cooperations, maybe what you require is mkokoteni, you require people, you require extra plastic bags, you require XYZ. So that is very industry specific. In my case, I also need a compliance. There's a difference between a certificate and a compliance. So once you do your certificate of KRA, compliance comes in because the regulator goes to say that this is a credible business and they're paying tax. And in my case, or they are actually transparent to their tax processes. In my business case, that is also required because my customers are institutions. So sometimes I hear young people saying, Bana, these guys, corporates don't give us business. But the reason why corporates may not partner with you, it is because you've not formalized your business for them to partner with you. Because most registered corporates have obligation of government and they are required to actually work with businesses that are formalized. So, angalia kwa biashara yako, what is needed to take it to place. And then I required a health insurance because the sanitation business handles waste management, human waste management. So there's a critical component of health. And again, I was dealing with schools. So schools, this is based on market research. Easy vitu sikuwa najua before nianze biashara. But when nilingia kwa program, there's a component where they tell you, go and do a market research. Don't do a desk research. Go to the ground. So when I started analyzing my segment, which was the school segment, I was told the wash area or the wash component of schools is a function of the Ministry of Education and Ministry of Health. So schools are expected to provide decent sanitation in schools, and Ministry of Health comes to oversee. Sometimes schools are usually closed because hakuna choo. So as a business who's in that space, I needed to be approved by the Ministry of Health. So I put it there as a business plan, as part of the things I need in the operation. And then NSSF, NHIF, those are just statutory requirements because even these days, government has broken down the components. So as business is also expected to have an NHIF PIN and an NSSF PIN as a business. But then most important is you don't have, even for KRA, you can start your PIN, but also this is an opportunity for you to also understand the different tax regimes and the different expectations from your industry. Very industry specific. Ikwangi one size fits it all. Like the other business that I'm actively running, our tax obligation is income tax. But there's a business whose tax obligation is VAT. So you also have to understand, but most of the small businesses fall under that category of income tax. So musiogope KRA, I would challenge each business owner here to go and understand the different tax regimes and how that actually works for small businesses. Yeah? Haya, nikatoka hapo, nikaenda occupational and then Nairobi Water Certificate. So if I was to operate in this area, and it's very specific because at the time when I was doing the market research, Nairobi was the only county at the time that had regulated the sanitation industry. Therefore, for you to be in that space, you needed and the regulator is Nairobi Water. I needed a Nairobi Water Certificate. But when I went to other counties, that was not a requirement. So that is why it is very specific. If other counties were required, ningekuwa nimesema Nairobi Water Certificate and consecutive maybe county water certificates or something, or the water bodies that regulate. And then of course, hapo the materials required for operations, and you go down, breaking it down. So that is just the overview in terms of you taking this tool that you've been given and then customizing it to your business. Let me pause there to take any questions on what I have so far presented. Yes. Can we have a roaming mic? Okay.
I have heard you talk about compliance and tax certificate. So my question is, there are different types of businesses. Like there's a business name and then there's a registered company. So I would kindly like you to clarify specific whether a business name can work or we rely on a company name.
That's a very good question. So yes, different businesses have different, so generally there are three types of businesses. A limited liability company, which now in Kenya, it can be owned by an individual. I think that's 5 years ago, minimum directors was 2 and above. But now as an individual, you can actually have a limited liability company. So this is the type of business that detaches the business liability from the owner. So today, if my business goes to loss, they won't come and auction my car unless I put it as a facility in the bank. But I can actually go and tell government, biashara imekunywa maji, I want to liquidate it. Close the business, negotiate with my debtors and creditors, and then go home. Second type of business, sole proprietor. The sole proprietor is also recognized. So you're going to register Usafi as a sole proprietor. The difference between that will be, I as an individual will still be the person who is taking the liability. Which means if Usafi today owes you money, I can go to the small claims court, and if I can't pay you, they'll come to my house and auction my fridge. The other one is, they'll come to my business premises, and if there's nothing to be auctioned, you'll be told, it was a business, it went bad, close and go home. And then there's usually, I think, limited by guarantee, and then limited by, but let's focus, because those are the most common ones, the two. Now, in terms of compliance, if you register a business as a sole proprietor, the tax obligations will be attached to your personal PIN, right? So all the other statutory requirements will be attached to your personal PIN. So you've not de-risked yourself as a business owner. But if my business, like today, if I showed you my statutory requirements for Usafi Sanitation, which is a limited liability company, iko na PIN ya Usafi, iko na NSSF ya Usafi, iko na NHIF ya Usafi, iko na hizo vitu zote. And this is the assumption that the moment the business peaks and grows, I will need to pay my staff, myself, first of all. I'll need to submit statutory requirements, which is income tax, NHIF, NSSF. Those are the basics. And I think now there's a housing levy. So of course I need to update my business plan. Sivyo? I need to update my business plan based on the statutory requirements. So yeah, so two things. If you register a sole proprietor as a business, everything else will be attached to your personal, so including the liability of the business. But if you have a limited company, it's independent. So kama unataka kwenda kufanya job, you want UBA to give you a tender, they'll consider you because there are people who actually, as long as you're formalized, the only difference between me and you is, wakikwambia nipatie PIN, utapeana PIN yako, ile iko na jina yako. nipatie tax compliance, itakuwa na jina yako. Yangu itakuwa na jina ya kampuni. Any other question? Burning question? Ina land ama? Yes, there's a question behind there.
Question. So for the point where we've gone through the journey of learning everything, then we're getting to the point of clarifying everything. At what point do you look at fixing yourself onto one thing and then giving yourself room to be able to pivot and iterate? Yeah.
That's a valid question. So what you're saying is maybe you started off with many ideas and then now you want to get to a point of diversifying or saying, I'm packing this, I'm packing that, I'm focusing on this. So one of the things that I always tell small businesses, you have very limited resources. A small business most of the time has limited resources. In this case, it's as limited as $5,000 if you make it to the 120. So what technically happens, maybe you can move to the next slide. Nitakwambia mali pa kustop. Songa, songa. Lakini utarudi nyuma kidogo. Songa, 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 songa. Endelea. 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 Hapo. Now, so for me, I came and I said, that is where you're niching. Si kwa business plan kuna mali mefundishwa juu ya market niche. You can choose to niche. So for me, like in my case, I said, what's my primary market? Schools, both public and private, that's my primary market. And secondary market is NGOs, CBOs, and then the third market is individuals. So the first opportunity you always have to decide what you're going is, you've gone through the business plan, you've seen there's a big opportunity. The first thing is always to segment your market. Then once you segment your market, you can decide, with the amount of money I have right now and the time, because sometimes people always think it's money, also time is a resource in a business. So you can say, I'm a solo founder, I don't have money to employ somebody else, I don't have resources, but there's an opportunity here. And I want to sell, I'm making bags and I want to sell to big people. So then I want to sell to 10,000 customers in the long term. But with the current resources that I have, I can actually choose to say, I will start selling bags in universities in Kenya. First assumption. Second assumption, I will start selling bags in Nairobi University only. Or I will start selling bags in, which is a popular dormitory in Nairobi University, Stella Winja hostels. As a specific. So the market niche gives you an opportunity for you to start breaking it down. You remember we talked about breaking it down in manageable pieces. In your business plan, very futuristic, but when it comes to implementation, it should be step by step. You walk the first step, you're selling bags, universities in Kenya, that's your goal. Then you'll say, I'm a solo founder. Can I start with one university? And then you'll go again and say, in this university, in the first month of operations, I want to sell to 100 students. By the way, my background is marketing and sales. So I love selling. So in that 100, Tasema, for you to sell 100 bags in University of Nairobi per month, how many bags must you sell in a day? Ningapi? Watu hesabu? Hapo. So that is an example. I hope I've answered your question. Yes.
Mine is about the registration. At some point, you may intend to come up with a sole proprietorship kind of business. And in that, at least you have control over everything that you want to set up. But when it comes to groups, sometimes you end up maybe changing plans, maybe changing even the name of the of the company. So at what stage do you go for registration? Because along the way I may want to change the name of the company or the goal or the target. Maybe if you take example of selling bags, maybe the first idea was about selling to universities, then I come and maybe decide to work with only public universities. So at what point do I go for registration? Or is there a way I can change all these things that are already registered?
Okay, very valid question, and I like that example, and I think it also ties into what he had asked, the risk. So at what point can you register? Again, you're the driver of the vehicle, so you'll make the choice. However, what in the example you've given, do you want to trade with the university as an institution, or do you just want to sell to the students? If you want to sell to the students only, at that particular point, all you need is a sample, a photo, an Instagram page, and say that I'm selling bags. And then call this number to get bags and M-Pesa to my number. So at that point, you can run it as an informal business. But what may go around in the university that there's this guy who sells really nice bags, and then the university has a conference coming up and they want to promote. Maybe they've been told, not actually maybe, there's actually something called the affirmative procurement requirement. So University of Nairobi is a public institution, going by that example, and they have been told, out of your budget you must support 30% of your procurement budget must go to youth. And then they say, hey, there's this guy student, anauza bag poa, tumesikia sifa yake, tunataka kumpatia biashara. Nairobi University will only consider you if you're formal. That means kama umeregister. So in the event that you haven't registered, then you miss out on formal opportunities. It is you as a business owner to make that decision. Business is a risk. So this is my message to all of you. So sitakwambia at that point, when utasikia mali, I've ever felt salu umekimbia na feel, wacha niongeze mbio. So it's up to you now. You'll actually have, and then you'll also have a tool to support you in that journey. So that's called market growth. So utaenda pale useme, my first market was individuals in the schools, nimeachieve goal yangu. My second objective was to sell to the school administration. When you get to meet that second objective, itabidi, for you to achieve that second objective, you have to be formalized, you have to be registered, you have to go to the institution. In fact, sometimes, just go to them and ask them, what do I need so that I can be able to trade with you? Alafu lazima uende by tender, all those things. Yeah? I hope I've answered it. Sure. Last question, and then we'll move to the next slide. And, yeah.
Good afternoon. My question is, who compromised, your team is, who is in your team, and at what stage did you add, let's say, for example, you started with the idea, then at a certain point you added someone. So the process of choosing a team member and the reason why you choose someone to be part of Safi.
Nimekupata kabisa. That topic is usually very close to my heart. So how do you choose your team? At what point do you add the team? I have a live example. So before this business, before this one, I had another business where I had a brilliant idea. You remember I said I'm a marketer? So, and I had experience in the sanitation space. So nilikuwa nimepata ka job kengine hapo ka kusupply. So I went and I registered a business. And how did I choose my first business partner? It was somebody who I knew had money. So nikaenda nikamwambia, by the way, kuna biashara imeiva hapa. Si ukuje tufanye biashara? I invited him to the table. He saw the business opportunity. He invested in it. And at that time, I was very naive. Me, I'd never run a business formally. Nilikuanga najua kuhustle. When I was in campus, I sold bags, I sold socks, I did that. And then I left campus and I went and I got employed. So this was really the first time I was putting my hand in business. So nimeona ka opportunity, kameiva, nikaenda nikamwambia msee, he put money in the business. Akasema nitatafuta lawyer, nikasema you do everything. So you're the one with the money, me I'll do the sales. You go and do everything. Unknown to me, somewhere in the contract, the guy had more power than I had in terms of decision making. So the day that deal came through, the guy kicked me out of the business. Live, like get out. It was a painful business. Painful business. The business still continues to run today. It is very successful, extremely successful, but I never lived to eat the fruit. And the worst thing is, they're a family member. So, Nambiwanga Kanyagia, my niece is here, she doesn't know who it is. So it's something that, Nambiwanga Kanyagia, your story. Now, one of the things that I got from the foundation, there's a legal component in the business. In the business planning, have you guys gotten there? There's actually a component in your business planning that walks you through that. So with that painful experience, by the way, iliniuma, bado inuma hadi saizi. But business is about risk, right? But the other business is very successful. Sometimes I drive and I see and I'm like, I'm the one who came up with that name. But I never lived to see the benefits of that business. Now, with that painful experience, I went back to the market with a lesson, but with a lot of insecurity. So what did I do first? Nika register sole proprietor. The most automatic thing that you want to do. So actually, by the time I was getting into the program, this business was a sole proprietor. But when I went through governance, there's a component of governance in the business. There's a step-by-step process that this exact business plan, and maybe I can show you have time, that takes you through what is governance in a business. What are the opportunities of, what is the benefit of registering a sole proprietor versus a. So I opened my mind, I picked my business lessons, I learned in security, and I invited other co-founders. But this time round, I had the knowledge of taking the contract to the lawyer, so I managed the entire process by myself, and then we structured the arrangement and the relationship as guided by the expert who was a lawyer at the time. So any business transaction that I always get into, not only in this business and other businesses, I always have a lawyer's opinion and instructions that favor me. There are business contracts that have come out because it took to the lawyer, Kasema, this doesn't favor you. I went back to negotiate. So to answer your question, go back to your notes of governance in this particular business model, and then that will guide you on how to structure the business. But then it is always you as a business owner knowing, where am I bringing this person? What benefits are they bringing into the business? And how will it benefit me? But when you're putting out your business out in the world and you want it to grow, a lot of people want to demonstrate or want to see accountability. So one of the reasons why some people shy away from investing in sole proprietors is because there's no form of accountability. So the governance structure is a bit weak in a sole proprietor compared to a limited liability company. Okay. Rudy Page. Rudy, yes, go. So there's the executive summary. So this is where you just write a very high level what the document is about, what's in the document, who your customer is, and everything. So this is usually a summary of if somebody was to see your page, your business in one page, it should be captured there. Very less wordy and everything, but it captures who you are, what you do, who you serve, and the products that you have. Let's move to Songa Bele. Songa. Continue. So that's the products that I continue. If you can, in your business plan, feel free to add photos. Yeah? Enda hadi page 35. Competitor versus what I was bringing. My SWOT analysis. Page 35 is I want to spend more time because it's the financial part. Na hapo ndio kuna maswali mingi ninaona. Oh, actually go back there. Rudy. No. Okay, continue. No, continue. No. Enda page that. That. Move. All right. Stop there. Okay. There's been a lot of questions on how do you submit a financial plan that makes sense. So, milestones, startup costs, source of revenue, required cost of startup, revenue projections, profit and loss. that's the document that the profit and loss statement is another template that you've been given. Cash flow, again, it's been provided, and the balance sheet. And then the assumptions. I think there was a question on somebody who said they submitted their financial plan and then it came back with a negative. I would want you to go back and check at your assumptions. What assumptions did you have? And do the assumptions fit the figures you put in your financial plan? Remember, I said these two documents are not, they run concurrently. So you may find part of the reason why maybe your business plan may be rejected, it is because it's not tallying with what you've written on your business plan and what you're submitting on your financial projections has yambatani. So for example, my assumptions were to grow revenue 10% year 1 and 10% year 2. And then the following variable expenses are tied to volumes and will increase the same amount of revenue as salaries, fuel charges, postage, repairs, maintenance and supplies, and then to break even in 12 months. So if these are my business assumptions, and then I'm given a financial tool to say now put down those things in the assumptions, and then I put a projection that will make me break even in 12 years, then it will flag it out. Haita hambatana, so there could be a problem. So what I'm just saying here, this is the opportunity for you to go and marry your business assumptions and then with the financial tool document, which again is very case by case, yeah? So in my case, just scroll up. These were the estimate projections. And remember to the question of how much money did I? So this is the first assumption and projections. So it came to 5.4 million. How much was the foundation giving me? 5 million. Continue to the next page. And then I went ahead and I said, purchase, shipping of whatever, inclusive, nikafanya hizo vitu zote. Other sources of income, cash injections from savings, commercial loans, I put a 0 because the business was very new and no bank was going to lend me money. Inventory and working capital and all that. What else were you going to use? Fixed assets and everything. So I took my entire financial obligation and I broke it down into the bits. Then move up. Continue. And then I came to the milestones. Apo ni sawa. And then I said, I want to, remember I said it was a very specific segment, line item. So I simply used the resource for these 2 line items. So sikuenda kununua choo, sikuenda, because I knew I can't afford the toilets. I looked at my budget and was like, what is the things? I was not going to allocate them on staff salaries because I didn't have staff. I was not going to recruit because at that point it didn't make sense. At the point when I was doing this program, it didn't make sense. But I had a futuristic plan. So I took sales and marketing and advertising, demo toilets in schools and marketing for the videos, and then access to get a quarterly report. And that's what I presented as why I should be funded. Continue up. And eventually, I went back to my business plan and I put facts. So after I received the money, I went back and because remember I said I was going to understand the market. Is it viable? How does it look? What does it look like? So I went back and I went to all those schools. So that's an indicator of how I ended up using the money. So I visited schools, I spoke to people, I saw the opportunity. Scroll back up, endelea. And then I spent some money on social media. I think you had a question on that. I spent some money. I did my demo, which you're calling a prototype. And then I went and I spent some money on social media. And that's the indicator of how much I spent the money. I boosted, I promoted, I set up social media campaigns and advertised. And then I reported back and I said that was the report. And this was way after. This is something that sasa nilienda kujifanyia. You know, personal accountability. You know, I didn't take this money and go to Mombasa, by the way. It's very tempting. I actually went back and I put back in the money in the business, scroll up, and I went back and I reported to myself. So it has the indicators of examples of what, but then some of these things I was already doing and implementing while I was in the program. So me, I was not waiting. So when I realized, I can actually do a social media campaign. Nilienda nikafungua Facebook page. So I was also implementing as I was learning. So if, for example, you were doing, like the day when I did the component of legal, that is the first day I called a lawyer and I said, I want to understand business from a legal perspective. Scroll back up, continue scrolling. Continue scrolling. I think that's really it. And I am open to taking more questions. Yes.
Yes, thank you very much. And my question is, what was your plan B? What if the proposal failed? Because according to my understanding, yes, we are being told that over 1,000 applicants and 120 of us are going to be funded. So what can you tell the remaining 880? Another question. Sometimes doing a business plan, doing it on the paper is very right, and sometimes you find that on the seed capital, I don't know, can ask you what other source are you able to raise like 100,000, and some of us are coming from different slums, and even some of us are coming from rural areas, so we are unable to raise even the money, the seed capital. Should you go for a loan? And if you have done a loan, how are you able to manage the loan with the risk that the business can fail or the business can be successful? Thank you so very much.
I like that question, and I like it because business is a risk, by the way. Silimwambia biashara yangu kwanza nilifanya nikafanya mpango yote nikaenda nikaleta mpaka investor na kanambia get out. Was that a risk or not? What was my plan B? Rudi kwa kiwanja. And that is what I started by saying. The fact that you're not going to be selected doesn't mean your business idea is not viable. So what are your next steps? There's a place in the business where you've told who's your customer. Are you able to start selling this product to your customer? I had a very good interaction with this lady here over tea, and she told me she does cosmetics. Did you carry your product? So your next plan, in relation to an example, is now you have this burning desire, you have learned, you know your business is viable, take that product to the market. There's no perfect time. So the next time I'm seeing her, nataka kujena, is it blueberry? I've seen she has a nice lotion that is flavored. I mean, yonesha picture. Your next plan of action, I said, remember me I was talking about, I was implementing as I was going. It is to tell people, please follow my Facebook page. Do you have a Facebook page? Do you have Instagram? It is your responsibility to sell your business. Your plan B is you will take this business and you will go and sell it. Whether you have a product, if you don't have a product yet, we live in the digital information age. Inge Instagram, inge a TikTok. Set it up, brand your TikTok page, brand your Instagram page. What to Facebook, ingeeni Facebook. Start telling people, even by telling people, start by telling people, like my business, kuna kitu iko kwa pipeline. So your plan B will be to have the courage to go and start your business small and where you are and with the resources that you are. In the projection I showed there, there's a component that was, I had indicated my other sources of income. You remember I had indicated bank zero because I knew no bank was going to give me money. What are my other sources of income? Investment, sales, Evo. So those are your other options. That's your plan B. Plan C can actually be me to say, I don't want to continue. Let me go and try something else. Nimelani biashara, wacha nichukue skill, nianze kuuza mtumba kwanza, nianze kuuza thrift clothes so that I can be able to raise funds for my business. So you have multiple ways on how you can diversify. If you have a skill set and maybe ulikuwa umesema wacha nitoke job niende kurun business na biashara imeanguka. If your mental capacity cannot give you, by the way, when that business closed, I had a very serious mental breakdown. And at that time, I took a break. Taking a break is an option so that you can recalibrate. Unarudi tizi kidogo. And then when the business calls you back, you'll have better skills, you'll have better. Or if you are previously employed, imagine you can still go back and say, wacha nikatafute job. But now when you go back and start earning a 30-day income on a cycle, unaweza kuanasema every month I'll be saving 5,000 shillings towards my business. Because now you know that my business requires 100,000 to start. So what have we said? Sell the product. Your plan B is take your product to market. That is by the way, your first source of revenue should always be sales. Try it, or people consuming your product. Your second option would be you looking for other sources of income. I know there are many other programs like this that offer business people opportunities and grants. So basically you have many options. And also taking a break is fine. It's okay. Sometimes you just need to take a break, or sometimes you just need to go back to the market. So you have multiple options. Your second question was sources of income. I've touched on that. Sales. Take your product to market, let you start earning an income. Other sources of grants. On the internet, spend your time on the internet. Even you just do a quick Google search. Grants that support early stage businesses or ideas. In Kenya, a list will come up. Yeah? Keep an eye on the Tony Elumelu social media pages. Other opportunities like this continue to pop up. And sometimes your charmers, your relatives, spaces like this you can meet investors. So your options should be wide. Yeah.
Good evening this afternoon. Kusawa. My name is Jimton Mogambi from Meru. And my question is a bit general. I don't know whether I'll be addressing it to the right person. But I'm happy to mention that I'm partly a beneficiary of Tony Elumelu Foundation. I've applied it twice, but then I've also not gotten to the point of being funded. But I've benefited from the trainings that have been happening. But also on the flip side, my experience with Tony Elumelu in my last application was not that good. In 2023, I went through the entire process from being shortlisted to submitting, or rather to going through the training, submitting the business plan, getting the reviews, and then also after all that, we went now to the other stage of submitting or meeting some requirements. One of the requirements that was there was to open a bank account with the UBA bank, which also has some cost. The other requirement was you submitting an authorization contract. An authorization contract costed me 5,000. Then there were other requirements that were needed for you to proceed. So I did all that with actually a few others of my friends from Kenya. Actually, we were in the same WhatsApp group. But at the end of it all, after doing all that, we were met with a regret email, which was very discouraging. So my question is, now with this other program, or rather with this year's process, how far are we going before we could be told whether we are proceeding or not, basically? Thank you.
Okay, so I don't have the capacity to respond to your first question because I am an alumni, so I don't work for the foundation. I only represent them in terms of spreading the word and being an ambassador. However, we can have a side conversation and then I'll direct you. So you got a regret after going through all that. Okay, so that one I'll have to direct you, but yes, like we said, it's some people get, others don't get.
Majority of the other people that we are applying with in 2023 from Kenya, none got, and we all went through the process. So I'm trying to imagine how different these years will be. I'm a bit worried.
But you're saying majority, right? But there are some people who got the money.
I have not met any from Kenya from the year 2023, specifically year 2023.
2023. Okay,
Yeah.
so first of all, I highly suspect they are still doing due diligence for the people who went through. But again, let me not speak on their behalf. I will have to cycle that back. But in relation to the BeGreen, it is very specific, it is very targeted, and there are other partners within. So this will be more, you're actually less. That's another thing. The foundation receives thousands and thousands and thousands of applications. So this is a smaller group. You know, you're talking about 2,000. The main program sometimes has over 300,000 applications. So imagine you're trying to swim through 3,000 applications. So this is very specific and targeted, and I will tell you, back to your question, sasa umerudi kwa soko, sulirudi ground, ukarudi kucheza, wase watch football. So sometimes I don't watch football, I'm very competitive. So sometimes football drains me. But sometimes you actually put in your best, but you'll still be knocked off. And that is just how business is. So more grace to you, more courage. Feel encouraged. Make sure you submit that plan. You may just be among the 120. Out of how many? Is it 2,000? Don't fail to submit. Don't feel discouraged. Yeah. Let me take that.
I wanted to react to his issue of notary. Even me, when I was having my document notarized, some were asking me for 10, others were asking for 6. But behind my back, I felt, no, there must be something or somebody taking advantage. So somebody came to me and told me there is public notary, embassy house, you only do 1,000, and then you're done. So if you feel you're not able to meet that cost of 10, whatever the lawyers can ask you or the notary, then go to embassy house. Lawyers of all areas are there. So you will go to the ones who are right for you. You ask at the entrance, we have the security guards. They know them all. So they'll send you in the right office, you notarize, and you move off.
Thank you so much for that resource. Even me, I want. Embassy house, I did know that. Okay, embassy house, that's where the office of the public notary is. Ah, okay, awesome. All right.
Hello, my name is Steven. I'm from Laikipia County, Nanyuki Town. I also do waste management. I'm in business and I do waste collection and transportation. I also understand you're in waste management. So my biggest challenge in operating as a business management business, NEMA licenses and county regulations. How did you go about updating your license from NEMA and also from county? From my area, Laikipia, tuna shida kubwa sana ku access the dump site upande ule, whereby as much as we are trying to manage the waste, there's that small element, that small percentage that you cannot recycle or reuse or repurpose it. So you unakuta unashindwa kwenye utaipeleka because the county regulation ama the charges that they are charging are too high. For my case, if there's anybody from Laikipia here, I can attest that wanalipisha 550,000 per year to get that license to dump
pale kwa hiyo dump site. Also another question on financial record, bookkeeping. The biggest challenge as a business person is record keeping. Being a waste management entrepreneur, unakuta nime collect waste, nime sort, nime recycle, ama nime redirect to people who recycle it. So those people, as you said, those people who recycle, hawafanyagi hizo biashara za official like banking, ni M-Pesa ama cash. So it is hard to record those records, I mean. And another question, and on your business, umesema unafanya waste ya toilets in kwa shule. Can you tell us a story on how you manage that waste, your toilet, to the end after the toilet? Then what next? Tafadhali.
All right. Thanks for your question. So your first question is the cost of dumping, and part of your answer is within something that you've said. You've said you have some partners who take plastic wastes, and then you pay them. So you have a collaboration. So my suggestion, because I understand, collaborations are very good in business. You're part of the program, right? There's a business canvas model tool within the thing. So when you're mapping out your partners and stakeholders, that could actually be a strategy. So definitely no small. So waste is a very regulated industry globally. And the entry, depending on the waste type of management, the entry level can be very low. It can also be very high. So in your case, the cost of dumping is very high, so therefore it's regulated. So my question to you, are you in a position to partner with the people who have the licenses? Then unawapelekea waste. Are you able to collaborate with them? Who has the license? Who has the license in Laikipia? Who has the license to go to the dump site? Huh? So is that dump site empty? No, is that dump site, there's somebody who actually takes the dump site? Only the county government. Are you able to partner with the county government? Yeah, so one of our responsibilities, and I relate with you because I said before I started this business, I was working in another industry where it was actually waste management of the same toilets, and they were very blurry lines. So part of the things as you as a founder is to negotiate. So for me, I see the opportunity for you to collaborate because definitely small businesses cannot afford, but it's a strategy. I can't have it's a strategy that I am suggesting. It could be a possibility because I'm also curious, where are you taking the waste now? Okay, now I don't have a direct answer for you, but that is your industry. That is a point of innovation. You know, sometimes businesses are born out of necessity. So that could be a point of, automatically, I'm thinking maybe you can collaborate with the county government, but you're saying it is a bit difficult, and that is part and parcel of our journey as a business owner. Sometimes part of you being a business owner is to find solutions. So I can't stand on this stage and say I have an answer. I don't have a direct answer, but I think you can continue exploring what the other possibilities are. But I like the fact that you already have a solution halfway. You're separating, you're selling the plastic, you're selling the things that can be recycled. And then you'll exploit in your smaller group. You know, you're going into small groups. So park that for the smaller group. Maybe somebody else can have an idea. Or is there anybody else in the room who has a similar problem, and how are you solving it? There's a hand there. You have a solution or suggestion? Okay, awesome.
Okay, I think since I'm near his place in Nyahururu, we have the same problem because one of the challenges we have, most of these counties don't have a policy. The waste is owned by the health, and the trade also have the, okay, it is between, I think, four departments in the same county. So the challenge is, as well as us in Nyandarua, we have the problem because like now we have all waste dumped in one site and they refuse with the waste. When we are going for it and wanataka tu ikae hapo, nobody is to touch it. Now, the challenge we're having is we tried rappelling with the MCAs to try and work on, and then there's the new department. I think you should look for the guys who are in the climate change. They are trying to bring in between the guys, I think it's trade and health, so that they can allow those guys who are interested in the waste management to come in as a partners to respond to that. I think there's a bill going on in Rekipi as well as Nyandarua and Nakuru that is helping in that waste. So those guys within those areas, you should I think visit your administrators so that they can give you at least something going on.
So you're saying climate change is a potential area? Yes. Okay, and you brought in something very interesting, policy. So we are in a, waste management is a very interesting document because this is a time, even the government in Kenya is starting to decentralize it. So I believe over time it may get better, and maybe you guys can combine and actually start having lobby groups or pushing for policy change as an industry. Yeah, people in the waste management industry, it could be your call to actually go and have a discussion with governments in terms of policy change so that they can support your businesses. When you do your SWOT, I believe that is going to fall under your SWOT. Strength, opportunities, was it strength, weakness, opportunities, threats? Threats are external, and most of the time, we may not have control over it. We may. Mostly those ones are driven by legislation, etc. So that's a legislative issue. It's a policy issue. So the action for policy and legislation mostly is lobbying. So people in the industry may need to lobby. To your question on how the technology that I promote works, it's self-composting. So there's no need for me to go and remove it from there. Once somebody uses the toilet, it composts, it breaks down there, and then the outcome is organic fertilizer. So that's the technology that I promote. To your question of bookkeeping, I would encourage that you use M-Pesa as a way of record keeping, because then you're able to keep your records. And even if it's cash, petty cash. Remember have a ledger book. Got in the supermarket, just get into the habit. It's best business practice for you to just record that down. But if you can do M-Pesa, the better. And if you can have, do you have a till number? Okay, yeah, so M-Pesa would be more practical because you have the record either way. Or if somebody wants cash, just the ledger book, your traditional ledger book. Because that's one of the, you have to be inclusive as businesses as well. Because if you're working in the informal settlement, maybe not everybody has a phone, maybe not everybody has an M-Pesa line. There are many dynamics. So you just revert back to, and it's totally fine for you to revert back to, this particular segment can be served with the books, with the ledger books. We have 7 more minutes, so I'm gonna take 1, 2, is there a lady in the house? 3? Okay, the one with the mic, yes. 4, yes, go ahead.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Daisy Nashipai. What are some of the challenges that you're facing right now, even after receiving the funding, you yourself? I will want to hear from you. What are some of the challenges that you're facing and how you're tackling them? Thank you.
Very practical question. I don't consider it a challenge because remember I said my business is capital intensive. So one of the biggest challenges that I've had is accessing that amount of capital, especially for a startup business. How am I addressing it? I still have a lot of belief in my business, and my retirement plan is to actually bring this business to full operation. But once in a while, I do projects, so I can identify an institution that requires toilets, I'll execute the project and then close it. So I operate on a project basis. Yeah.
Sorry. For you, it's directed to you. You want to provide toilet to a school. Let's say you get a challenge of the school doesn't want you to provide toilets. How do you go about that? Yeah.
So it may not be a challenge because we operate as a private liability business. So we go to the school, we sell, we do an assessment, we see how many toilets are required, we present a quotation. They say yes or no. So I will not ship in the toilets if I don't have a contract on my hand.
Do you think you want
But
sorry.
Yes, but in my ideal situation, how I see my business in the future is I can actually have a warehouse, products there, mtu akitaka, kimbiza choo mbili pale, kimbiza choo, but I can't afford it at the moment. So that's why I operate on a project basis. Secondly, what I now do with the knowledge I have in information is I consult for startup businesses. So I have knowledge information, I have great and expansive knowledge in designing business models in the sanitation space, and I do a lot of consultancy as a person, and I still earn from that, and I take it back to the business or to a cause. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. My name is Elizabeth Nyaberi from Kajiado County, and my concern, I think, is a concern of many young people seated in here, because everyone would want to start up something, and I'm sure this is like a competition, right? But we all need mentors, because there are some people who are new, they're just starting a business, maybe they just have an idea of what they need to do. So I wanted to know, is there a mentorship? Maybe would we have mentors maybe before or after the funding? That is one. And can the Tony Elumelu alumni, maybe the network, come up and maybe mentor the people who are willing to get mentored? Because I'm sure there's a lot of confusion around the whole process. Thank you.
So that's an affirmative yes. We already have some mentors, alumni in the room, and the second part of this event will sit down in round tables or round groups, and they'll be able to support you in the journey. So that's a critical component. The overall question on how I answer mentorship, especially for the people who are in the digital economy, is you have the digital platform to actually follow. A lot of people who made it in business now share their tips online. So you don't have to be, one of my mentors, I say he's my mentor, there's a gentleman called Strive Masiwaya. He's big in telecom. I have followed that guy online for a very long time. And it is because I was very inspired by what he did. And that's why I even gave you examples. So identify somebody that you relate with and somebody you feel is successful. Follow their journey online. Most of them have been very generous because they may not have the capacity to train or mentor all of you. Follow me online. Follow me online. If you've been inspired by me, go on my social media handles, see what I do, how I do it. I'll be more intentional with the support of my social media manager, who's like, you do a lot of things, and I think you have the opportunity to show it to them. Even our founder, the Tony Elumelu himself, amazing. He puts a lot of amazing content online for young people to really see what he's done and how he's done it. He's also been very transparent with his journey. And the right kinds of mentors. Yeah, because the internet can also be it's busy. So settle, angalia mwenye una like, settle, and then follow them. Because we actually still get influenced by everybody else other than the people who are doing meaningful things. Yeah, so tusishinde tu tukichukua selfie na.
Thank you. My name is Njoki. I think I wanted just to affirm what the people who are dealing with climate change and environment. And I think also one of the things is that some of these problems may not just be isolated to the area you're in. There are people who already have achieved that. So don't struggle. I know that Nairobi has done something on that, because there's a time we worked with, I think Dr. Ayub Mashari or something, had come visiting on a project we were doing in the estate. Kiambu County also has done that. So if it is not working, and some of these things, by the way, when the government is implementing these policies, even them, they don't know. So you could be the person who would be that. And public participation is very important. Be on the lookout for whatever they're putting out in the environmental issues or other spaces you're in for public participation. Most of the decisions are made in the boardroom. Can you be part of that boardroom? Sit where decisions are being made. Make noise if possible. If you need us to help you make noise, we will help you make noise. Secondly, I think when she was talking about mentors, I think in my journey of whatever businesses I do, I've realized I can only be one person. I cannot be a social media person. I cannot be finance. I hate finance. I only like the part where I receive money. That's the part I like. I'm a lawyer by profession, and I'm a marriage and family therapist. So can you get people specific to those areas? Even if you're a youth, some people are willing to sit down with you at no fee at all, or something very little. So don't be afraid. Say you need a finance somebody to help you to audit accounts, approach them. If you need a lawyer, tell them I have an issue in doing ABCD, and if I'm not able to, I can push you to somebody else. Don't die alone. We are here for you guys.
Let me point. Ebu ekeni mkono juu tena ndo to wrap up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we finish. Oh, kuna hapa nitakupatia 6.
Hi everyone. My name is Kennedy, and I have a quick question about insurance, the insurance part. My business involves, my waste management business involves machine operation. So I was wondering how I can quantify my insurance costs on the financial planning, and if they are urgent or not, because we understand insurance can be expensive. And when I'm doing it, will I be insuring the machines? Will I be insuring the staff, or how does it go? Or and at what stage should I consider taking insurance for the business? Thanks.
Okay, let me respond to that. When I cleared university or high school, insurance was one of the easiest industries to enter. Is there an insurance agent here? Is there an insurance agent here? Anyway, things have changed. Anyway, so I would want you to engage an insurance company, because they'll be able to walk you through the different products and the different kinds of assets and risks. And then based on the quotation you're going to get, that will inform you the urgency of you either taking an insurance or not. Because again, it can, like we said, you're the owner of the business, you have to make business decisions. I can't make a business decision for you, so I can't give you a yes or a no answer. Cool? So look out for insurance. I mean, there are many insurance companies in the space. Check out online, sit down with an insurance agency, walk them through what your need is. They'll be able to assess for you the risk, and they'll give you a quotation. So that quotation is what is going to make you whether you'll have enough resources and information to take a business decision. So it is your decision as a business owner. At what point will you decide to go that direction, but speak to an insurance agent.
Good afternoon. My name is Brian. I'm also in the waste management space, organic waste specifically. And my question is, at what point do you, because you said you're a marketer, at what point do you invest in marketing in your company, and how much should you start with to be able to grow your sales? The next question is, I think this one should go to the UBA bank. I don't know if they're still here. Yes, so in terms of credit, also you, how has your experience been in terms of getting credit from banks as a young person and as a young business? Because mine has been not so good. And also, what has UBA done, or what does it offer to as an incentive to young people to be able to bank with you and maybe gain access to credit without unsecured loans, things like that, or low interest rate loans, things like that. And another thing, maybe just to reiterate, how important is registering a business for a startup. I think you should also emphasize on that, because many young people want to start businesses and they have not registered their businesses, which is very important for many people, even for donors, to get grants and such things. Yeah.
Awesome. I love your question, and thanks for affirming and reiterating the importance of registering a business. For the first question, which was at what point do I allocate marketing? That's my sweat capital. My sweat capital to the business is marketing. So the current business that I'm actively running, we still don't have a salary yet, but as directors we earn an allowance. So, and that's what actually informed my decision of bringing in the co-founders. I looked at the strengths that I had versus the weaknesses. So my co-founding team that I invited was informed by the strengths they were bringing in. So there's a person who's very good with admin and bookkeeping, and there's a person who's very good with community. So my sweat capital to the business is the marketing. So our branding is top-notch, our communication is top-notch, and all that. So that's what I take to the business. But here is the thing. I still work with experts. So as a business owner, because we are at that level of the business, I don't sit down to do graphic design. I don't sit down to do social media marketing, though I have the capacity. I don't sit down to do this. So what we do is, as a business, one of the things we do, we design, like right now there's a product we are designing that, we are planning our market in August. If you meet me, if you come to my house, I have sketches of things, I'm putting the strategy in place, and then I've started marketing. But then, tomorrow I'm having a meeting with young people from the community to train them on marketing, and then subcontract them to go and sell, because I can't stretch myself too thin. So I mostly invite young people, train them, and then deploy them at an affordable amount, a dignified amount. And even I mentioned, like right now, a young person approached me and said, "Can I manage your social media?" And I said, "Great." And now they are on an income. So depending on the level of business you're in, we said first tier is, if you're in college, you have a guy who did marketing and they're sitting at home unemployed. Unaweza kuwa unampatia gig ya sotano. You don't know accounting, your classmate was an accountant, na ako home unemployed. And by the way, always count that as creation of employment. That's how small businesses create employment. So you may be thinking, I can't afford an accountant, but in your peer circle, there's an accountant, there's a marketer, there's a social media. So even as change makers, let's start creating employment in our immediate circle of influence. So if in your peers, enda kwa WhatsApp group ulizana ndo marketer hapa, ama ndo msewa sales, you're going to get somebody who can empower. In terms of formal credit, Catherine will speak about UBA specifically. I've also not had a very good experience, but I have lessons. Part of the reason why this is a very new, it's a very interesting space, because I think we're the first generation that is very passionate about business. Yeah, the generation of before us was kwenda kufanya kazi, go finish university, finish school, go and get a job. But then the reality is jobs are not coming by. So we are now creating jobs for ourselves through businesses. Now, we may not, first lesson is, like I said, I didn't know how to run a business, so I was just all over the place. And that's why my first question to you is like, how do you pay? So formalize. You may not be formal, but formalize that process of payment, such that if a donor comes to you tasema, sina bank statements, lakini ndiko na hii kitabu. I have this book that I have all my records. Yeah. Secondly is formalize your business. If you want to have formal credit, formalize your business, let your money go through banks, and then you build that relationship with the banks, then they'll be able to support you. The kind of money I was looking for was too high, so of course the bank needed collateral. So I didn't have that kind of collateral, so therefore that's when I parked. However, I do know there's a lot of conversations that have been going out in the spaces. So for example, in Kenya, there's youth fund. Youth fund still exists, isn't it? There's the Women Economic Fund, and a lot of banks that have products that speak to the youth actually are investing in youth with better products and facilities. And then the traditional, not really traditional, other alternatives includes other sources of grants. So confidently I can tell you, if you take this business plan and you internalize it and you start putting it into action, it will give you an opportunity to apply for other grants.
Excuse, I have a question.
Let Catherine respond to the UBA youth product offering. I think I had her mention. Leo. Yeah.
Hi. I think there was a question around fastings. What a bank would be looking at from a lending credit perspective. And I think one of the very, very key things that Maureen has mentioned, documentation. When you come, the first thing a bank, any bank, and it's not just about us, is the risk rating of you as a customer. And your risk rating starts from where is your business? Where, what is your record keeping like? What is your turnover for your business? And it starts as good as even just the paper that she's talked about, or an Excel sheet. What comes in and what goes out in your business? How will you be able to evaluate that this business is actually, say, profitable or loss-making? It is only when you have your documentation right. So part of even this business plan, as you're creating it, it's trying to tell you that you must, as a business, you must know where is your business headed. How and what are the costs for your business? What are how do you foresee your revenues ahead? So any bank will always want to know, where is your business? What is your form of payment? Say, for example, you're using M-Pesa. Are there records to show that this is the inflows for your business, or you just do cash? How can we substantiate it? So record keeping for banks is so key, because we use that to assess your credibility and your credit rating as a customer. So when we know your credit rating, then we are able to know this customer, this is the value of the lending we can get to this customer. So it starts with documentation. Secondly is also compliance. And when I talk about compliance, it touches on aspects of lending. Are you listed in CRB, for example? Why are you listed, So as an entrepreneur, as you build your journey as an entrepreneur, yes, it's been said that, oh no, this bank is not supporting me, but there are certain mandatories that you must meet as an entrepreneur. If you do not know what your business is getting, how will you know, say for example, how you're going to repay, say, a loan that you've been given? It is only through records that we are able to assess what your viability is as an entrepreneur for us to be able to support you. So I've talked about compliance. Right now, we are heading towards tax compliance. Are you tax compliant? Are you tax compliant with the little you have? These are very important aspects that a bank will always look at when they're assessing you. It is very important. You might say, no, me, I don't need to pay tax. But it is important because ahead, some of these questions will come in. It's part of the compliance aspects that the bank will look at. As a bank, you're sitting here and you're saying, okay, so how am I going to be tax compliant? Like right now, I'm sure you've all been hearing this conversation around e-teams. What is this e-teams? And that's where we as banks, so we go out there and we sit with people like KRA or tax experts to sensitize and help you create and understand what is this e-teams? How does it work for me? What can I do? How will I be able to make payment? That's why we have to create certain capacity building initiatives as a bank. And right now we are actually, as UBA, putting up a robust, capacity building, not just for you. Where you see you can benefit, don't ignore. Just listen in. Ask questions. So for the youth, because there's a lot that's happening right now. This program is targeting 35 years and under. Who is it targeting? It's targeting that young person, that startup, that's someone who has just started to create and see, I have a business that can run. Of course, we have different sets of customers within the bank. There's the young, there's the corporate who is established, there's someone who is within the middle cadre. So different, there's no one-size-fits-all solution. When you come, the relationship managers will always, they first have to assess your business before they say, this is what will work for you. Maybe it is an overdraft, or maybe this is what will work for you. For somebody else who maybe has been in business for 2 years or 3 years, the solution is different. So there's no one size fits all. We have to assess your business, understand what that need is, and then a solution is provided based on the different things, your income, how your cash flows, all these things. So normally when you see a bank is asking for you for some of the things, they're not asking because they're saying, no, this one does not qualify. It is to understand where is your business and how do we support you. It is not just to throw something and then ahead it is not working for you. We must first understand where is your business, where is it going, and what will work for you. So it is not a one-size-fits-all, I'll say that. There are different financial solutions, but they work for different businesses at different time. I think the aspect, she's talked about Leo. Yes, Leo is for a young person, also a young business like yours, but there's different needs at different times. So, of course, there are different solutions. So for us, we keep saying, let us understand your business. But once we understand it, then we'll give you the solution, what works for you at that particular time. I think that's okay.
Thanks, Catherine. And I think also what Njoki said earlier on is decisions are made when you're on the table. And sometimes some of the changes that you want to see in the financial space, especially in financial banking spaces, is if you open an account and you become a customer, sasa mnaanza kungangana. Mimi nangangananga na banki yangu. They've not given me a loan yet, but tuko karibu kufika hapo. Because I've been consistent in the banking. At least I do know now M-Pesa has in it Fuliza, they have a Fuliza for business. Did you know? Yeah, so also M-Pesa has a Fuliza for business. Yes, M-Pesa has a Fuliza for business. They launched it, I don't know if it's already active, but they do. Till number. So if you have a till number, then you can access a business loan through that. So that's one of the importance of formalizing and using channels that have record keeping.
Okay, so I have a question considering the business plan, the financial part. So what are the key factors that the investors look so that they can gauge that this business will make profits, or this business, considering the variables, the way they change? So what are the key factors that these investors look to gauge the sustainability of the business? Yeah.
So investors look at sector. What sector are you in? So in this particular case, it's green. So you're already in because you're running a green business. Now, in relation to if it's idea stage, they look at projections. There's a bit where there's projections, and the example I was giving is going back to the bag example. You want to demonstrate that there's an opportunity and there's a market opportunity. So if you're an idea stage and you want somebody to invest in your business early, before anything goes, you'll be like, this is the business opportunity, and I would want you to give me 100,000 Kenya shillings that I can go and buy 50 bags so that I can go and sell at X amount of money and make this profit. And then once I sell these bags, I'll be able to give you back the money. That's number one. And then number two, now you start doing your projections. You'll say, remember, they're breaking down. So you'll say, in a month, I'm anticipating that I'm going to sell X. And then if I sell X, this is how much I'm going to earn. And these are my business operations costs. This is this. At the end of the day, this is going to be the profit. So those are some of the things that investors look at. And then also your confidence in the belief. Sometimes we are asked, how much have you put in the business? You can't go to an investor and say, menataka na misina. So that's also the narrative you want to shift. So you can actually say, I'm putting in my sweat capital. Remember I said my profession is marketing. You can actually also tell the investor, I'm the marketer and I'm really good in selling and I'm really good in marketing. So therefore, I don't have the resources, but I'll put in my sweat into marketing and selling. Yeah.
Okay, good afternoon. My question is about segmentation. Is it possible to have more than a single segment in your business concurrently?
Oh yes, it is. I'm trying to look at a business that you can relate to. I'm avoiding big. Okay, so in the case of, you can have business segments running concurrently. In small businesses, it can be a bit hard because you remember we talked about resourcing, but it is very possible. Let me use an example of waste management. There's a company called Taka Solution. Taka Solution. Taka. So I know they have two segments. They have commercial facilities where they work with malls and stuff like that. And then they have another segment which is residential areas. And the residential areas are high end. So you won't find them in a middle income or middle low income commercial. So that's an example in an industry. So it's very possible for you to segment, but look at the resources that you have. It's also okay for you to say, I'll start with segment 1. Once I make money, I'll move to segment 2. But just having clarity around your segments is great. I want to wind up the Q&A session.
Good afternoon. My question is about business plans. Once I've developed my business plan and I identified my clients and have received funding, and I found that it is not serving the clients' demands as expected, do I have the option of altering the business plan?
Do you have the option of?
Altering, coming up.
Of course, yes. You do have, business is a risk, and I think from today, I want you to do two things. Mukipata Wi-Fi na pia mukiasha bundles. I want you to follow the Tonel Melu page, and I want you to follow the founder, Tonel Melu himself, because he's run a business, but all his businesses are set up in Africa, so he understands the terrain of running a business in Africa. Forget about it may not work. Unaweza fungua biashara leo, kesho ichomeke na uko na insurance. Business is a risk, that's what I'm saying. So my message to every business person sitting here, sometimes it will go south. Most of the time it goes south. You have the power to alter. Remember SMART objectives? S, specific, The R in that is always, it can be reviewed. Nobody will beat you for reviewing, but you'll be flogged for doing something that's not working. Yeah? If you take a product to the market, and sometimes I work in my day-to-day life, so sometimes we've done that, not in my business. The projects I've been part of, you take it to the market and then you realize, where? The instructions were in English and people only speak Kiluya. So they're not understanding what your product is about. What do? A friend of mine one day really made me laugh. We're just in the field. we have these products, we've taken them. This is way back when I was starting my career. So we've been given these products, take them to this market and everything. We go there, nobody could speak English or Kiswahili. Yet we had assumed we'll write there. So we simply now said, hey, wacha tutafute mahali kuna photocopy, tuandike na the local dialect, if it was the same guy who translated for us, and we just stuck them up there because we needed to sell. So as a business person, you have to think off your feet most of the time. Yeah. I think I can take, how many questions? Zemesha. That's fine. Okay, Sawa, thank you so much. I think we've wrapped up. Pack your questions if you have any more, and he'll guide us on how we're going to do the breakout sessions. I would want to see how many alumni in the house. I know I've seen Evelyn, I've seen Bernard, I've seen Linda somewhere. There's some alumni in the house. They'll come here and then we'll identify ourselves and then we'll do the small breakout session so that we can go into a deep dive of the business planning. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. A round of applause for that very informative session. Wow, I need you to stretch. I need you to stretch. Stretch, everybody. Lift your hands. Stretch, stretch. You can stand. Yeah. Stretch yourself. Now to give a vote of thanks, I'd like to invite Brian Kerr from UNICEF back on stage. He'll give a vote of thanks, and then we'll now go to group work, group discussions. Are you finding this session very informative? Are you learning? And I love the questions. Let's appreciate Brian Kerr as he gives us a vote of thanks. Thank you.
Makofi kwa MC. So there's this way, once you cross to the other side of Uhuru Highway, we don't clap that side, we do this. Yeah, we do it. Inakado, sindio? Makofi kwa MC. Thank you so much, MC. Thank you guys for staying over the session. Before I do the vote of thanks, any UBA staff in the building? UBA staff, can you see them? They can stand, they can wave. Sawa. If you have any question about UBA, any products you want as a young person, those are your contact guys. Secondly, we are coming to the end of the session. Not the end, but the end of the formal part of it, the first session. The second session is more of optional. It's going to be more of a need-based face-to-face engagement. There are some alumni from TEF who are here, who will be in groups talking to you guys. There is Eric who's here. If you want any help, guidance, or support, you can talk to him. I am here. They said you try look for people you look up to. I am told, so you have to look up to me. So I am here. You can have the engagement together. I'm sure Catherine and some of the team members will be still around. So if you want any personalized support, the afternoon session is for you. On to the vote of thanks. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Kwanza makofi kwa mkurugenzi hapa, si ndio? Salome, makofi kwa Salome. Watu wa preparatory na watu wa kindergarten, Makofi kwake. She's done an amazing job, right? Si ndio? Inclusivity is quite key. Where was I with the vote of thanks? I was thanking UBA. I was thanking the UBA Bank and everyone who's been able to make this day a success. Thank you guys for honoring the invite. When you organize such events, the biggest fear is always you guys will not show up. But by you guys showing up, by you guys coming and staying over till this session, it's quite key, it's quite important. I hope some of you win. Most definitely not everyone will get the funding, but I hope most of you are part of this session get to access that funding. And I hope this session has been key and important for you guys. Have you found it interesting? Have you been able to waste your time or have given you constructive feedback? So thank you so much for coming. We will just do a photo session on this stage. Tutawapanga ka Britannia, so don't worry about the arrangement. But all of you will come to this stage, we do a photo session, so that hata mimi nikiomoka mseme tulikuwa kwa picha pamoja. I was forgetting some people I was supposed to appreciate, the guys who have been using their own bundles and did not take tea on our bill who have been online. Tupatie watu online makofi tafadhali. Yes, so all of you will come to this stage. We do a photo so that at least there is a means of verification that we trained you as well, but also tukiomoka msusahau. And then once you are done with the photo, we'll have a break of like 10 or 15 minutes. If you want to take a photo at the booth, if you want to take a photo at any of the signages, please do so. And if you are interested in coming back for that afternoon session, we'll be in this room waiting for you. We'll be able to arrange ourselves in a way that you can know any need or what you want us to help you with, you can come to that center. Sindio? And in the same energy that we started this training, we should end it. Sindio? Watu wa Godha? Godha? Hey, akini kama mababi. Hi guys, you can come over for the photo session as we end.